Strange glowing UFOs were seen tracking Iranian missiles, right? It's a little bit weird. Check this footage out and I will dive into it a bit more in just a second.
About last hour, and
What's
in
that?
regards to President Biden's remarks, I think it was less about what he didn't say than what he did say. What he didn't say was restraint.
Oh.
Again, raising the specter or the possibility that we may be looking at a more significant escalation, possibly in the form of a ground attack, as so many have been speculating in these last couple of weeks, troop and military hardware movement.
How did
Now, when I initially looked at this footage, I thought that this may be a pixel of some sort, kind of caught on the lens and it was tracking, but the guy filming the TV was actively tracking this object, okay? And there's a part here that you'll just see, as it flies, it reflects off this cloud. Look, and it glows. Boom, right there, where it's kind of come close into some sort of cloud or mist cover. And it's actively reflecting, and it kind of suggests that this is a solid object.
So with the meteors raining down all over the place, new ones are popping up every day, as I've shown you guys. I've shown you the footage over the first couple of days of the war over Israel. There, what you could see these orbs, and I showed you people reacting to it who were there when people could still film, and you could see the orbs, and it's like deflecting any type of missiles or anything them trying to shoot at it. And on top of that, sorry, I meant to play this just so you can watch the footage. On top of that, you also had a cross all of a sudden appear out of nowhere. Then you've seen the same things happening in Iran with them trying to shoot down, which here, shoot down. Well, this is over Israel, but over Iran as well. I've played those videos. I've told you about my nightly orbs. Okay. And just what we saw last week with the meteors, and it's so crazy. I did my video about Charlie Kirk and his pilots in a plane seeing the orbs, right? That day is the same day that the meteors hit Ohio, and everyone was talking about it, and it was unprecedented. And then you saw it was happening all over the world. But I knew about these things. Like if you go on and just search it, and especially, if you're a conspiracy theorist, you will have seen these things, but they don't report on it. And then that same day as well, that morning, before these meteors hit here, well, the government registered aliens.gov and alien.gov. And I want to show you something. I have even more. I have another version of this kind of that someone else filmed. And I just want you to just look at this thing. Okay. And scientists, they can't explain it. They are just so perplexed. Everyone's so perplexed. Of course they are. That is always the case. Some people will automatically dismiss all this. This is the government is doing it. This is Project Bluebeam. Guys, Project Bluebeam is a psyop. That's my personal belief. I believe they did it. And I've told you my belief is because they got to explain all these people missing from the rapture. That is just where I have a piece in my spirit. And I've talked to other people, and they don't have the capability to do it. Because even on top of this, remember what was happening where they called them drones? That's the other thing they say. They're meteors or drones. So these drones that were over New Jersey, over all the military bases, restricted spaces, and they kept saying it was drones. No, they were orbs. They were orbs. I have videos of those. And then as well, now we're seeing them showing up on over bases all over the world, including here in the U.S. in D.C. They've been over, there's a I forget which base, but it's the base that Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth live at. And it was this big report. I did a report on it. Also, you're seeing it in Louisiana over bases. Saw them over Langley last year. They can't intercept them. They can't do anything to them. And they say this is, some type of technology. We don't know where it is. We don't know what it is, but they have to be drones. They never show footage of it. No, notice they never show footage of it. They just say they're drones and they put in stock images, but they're not drones. I see these orbs daily. Thousands of others do. Because we are seeing more and more of the signs in the sky that Jesus himself told us would be happening, on top of nations warring against nations. What's happening with Jerusalem, the third temple, the mark of the beast system, the famine that is, I just did a video on the famine that is surely about to come because of what's happening with the Strait of Hormuz, because of oil, because of sulfur, because of fertilizer. We're talking about also with medicine, everything, rubbering your tires. Gas and oil is not the only thing, but there's a worldwide shortage. And they're trying to do an energy lockdown. We're seeing that roll out in other countries. And you may think the US is protected from it. No, I've shown you. No, we live in a global economy. We need those things. Most of the oil we produce here in the US, we can't use. We actually sell and get our oil that we actually use because our refineries are used to refining a more rougher, a crude oil, right? The one that we produce here that we pull out, it's light, it's sweet, it's too light for us to use. And our refineries are, you know, they were what, 50 years old, and they haven't been. We don't have any new ones. Yeah, they'll come out and say we're going to do a new one. Do you know how much red tape that is? You know how many years it takes? There's one refinery that they're working on, and it's a $3 billion refinery. It has taken up to this point 10 years, and it's still not underway. They've just been talking about it in legislation and all. That is what's going on. So we don't have any new refineries. Food prices are going up. So you got to watch that video because, again, I've shared what the New World Order is, what the agenda is, and they want to bring us to an appointed end. But along with that, we have these wonderful signs that the Bible specifically tells us will be happening at an increased rapid pace. So this is the third meteor reported in a week's span, streaks across the night sky in California. Three have been seen so far in California, right, that are reported. People are seeing them. Again, if you go to TikTok, it is a gold mine of all of these orbs, UFOs, meteors from around the world. But let's look at this. I don't think it has any sound. So there you go. If you didn't know about California. And then if you don't, Ohio had another meteor. And again, I don't think this has sound because it's like a, did you see it back there? Let's see if it plays again. There it is. Another meteor in Ohio. And I'm just showing you a few. So let me pull this in. All right, because this right here, all right, so this is Michigan. I don't know if you heard about the meteor over Michigan. They've been over Maryland, over Texas, everywhere. And that's on top of the orbs. Again, the orbs are not reported. And I have videos past just this, in March, the ones that we've seen, the unprecedented numbers that we're seeing over the US. But if you go past March, Canada, they are all over and they've been happening for a couple of months now. But now people are paying attention. Now it's in the mainstream media. Now it's picking up pace and we're seeing it hurry up and hurry up and hurry up. It's more and more and more. And now look at this. Based on preliminary data, it indicates this meteor entered the Earth's atmosphere somewhere in southern Wisconsin. Based on preliminary reports, it was most widely visible across lower Michigan and northwest Ohio. So this is the other meteor that just hit. And on top of that, I could show you more videos of these things, but look, let me show you. Now, on top of that, look what NASA just came out with. What they just canceled their moon landing again. They're always canceling it because they never went there in the first place and they cannot get there. But it says moon hit by massive object as NASA declares a once in a century event. A routine scan of the moon has revealed a fresh scar around the length of 2 football pitches laid end to end football fields as NASA continues with its Artemis 2 mission to return humans there. They just can't. They canceled it, but now they're saying we're still going to work on. We're still going to launch on April 1st, April Fool's Day. We're still going to launch the astronauts up there just to scope it out. But we're not going to land anymore. We've got to push that back. We've got to push that back. Push that back. It's always the same thing. So now this is showing up, and then there's other catastrophic events that are happening, and all of these things tie back to one thing and one thing alone. And just to drive this point home, I'm not reading that whole article. It's like full of ads and it was just making my head hurt. But just to get to the bottom of it, it says that NASA has confirmed that a massive object slammed into the moon, carving out a colossal crater stretching roughly 225 meters wide. An impact so rare, it's only expected to happen once in more than a century. Scientists say the effects were so powerful they altered the lunar landscape for miles beyond the impact zone. And this is coming from End Times headlines. I suggest everybody follow them. They put out a great articles about things happening around the world, so you can kind of stay up to date and see what's going on. There's a couple places. Maybe I'll shout them out in another video. But understand, we are seeing these great signs from the sky. Where does that actually come from? Now, I always talk about Luke 21. You can also find it in Mark 13. But this is Jesus himself talking about what we would see as the time draws near for his return. And this is what it says in verse 25. He's talking about all the nations will rise against nations, all, what surrounding Jerusalem, all the things that are happening. But look at verse 25. It says, there will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. On the earth, nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea. People will faint from terror, apprehensive of what is coming on the world, for the heavenly bodies will be shaken. At that time, they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. When these things, this is the important word, begin. We're not taken up at the end. When they begin to take place, stand up and lift up your heads because your redemption is drawing near. That is what is happening. We are seeing the signs in the sun, moon, and stars. This is why I talk about it all the time. I believe the orbs are stars. It talks about how stars are actually orbs. They produce this great light, a form of them. Satan, when he fell, he took a third of the stars, meaning a third of the angels, but it says stars. But those are angels. His demonic, and they become demonic beings. And we know all the things that have happened. They're demons. But what you are seeing happening, and like I said, even with the orbs and with mine, and I have a great piece about them, that they are a sign from the Lord. And I've come to the conclusion that they are around my house because God woke me up last year to start talking about this. On New Year's Eve, I started seeing them all throughout the fireworks. They love fireworks and bombs and lights and all of that. But they just sit around my house. There's nothing going on. But I noticed them there, and they've been here every single night. Every single night. I think this is one reason that they do the cloud seeding and the chemtrails is also to kind of cover up what's happening in the sky. We know we've had a third blood moon, a blood moon for a third year in a row. When Purim began, which is the Jewish celebration of from the book of Esther, where the Jews were able to defeat Haman, Persia. Guys, when the war started, it was Purim, the third blood moon, and this festival. And on top of that, Purim represents the victory that Israel had over Persia, which is modern day Iran. And then, like I said, we're seeing the orbs all over there, all over in Israel and Iran. It's everywhere in the world, right? Everywhere in the world, but particularly there. And then I saw that cross. I played that video of that cross that was in the sky as these bombs and missiles and all that are going on. He is showing that despite all that's happening, all the things I report on the mark of the beast technology and the Antichrist sitting in the third temple, and how the Jews see this as a holy war and that their Messiah is coming right now. How the Muslims right now believe that their Messiah is coming right now. But Jesus said, don't believe those things. You understand who our Messiah is, the only true Messiah, Jesus Christ. And he said, he's telling you, don't be deceived by any of those things. Understand, these are my signs. You're going to be seeing these things happening in the world. And like I said, you have to read the entire thing. But I wanted to point this out because this is what we see happening right now before our eyes. And I think more people are seeing it because God has given other people an opportunity to wake up, to come to the knowledge and saving grace of Him, to recognize that they are sinners and that the only way to be saved is by believing in Jesus Christ, Him and Him alone. No government's coming to save us, no politician, no country. They're forming the one world government right now. I just gave this video about what the Strait of Hormuz. I said from the beginning, God dropped in my spirit, like the first or second day, the Strait of Hormuz. I just said, and I've been saying that was the most important thing. And now we're seeing it. They are setting this up to do an energy lockdown, 10 times worse than what COVID was. Lockdown. You've never seen anything like this. Every facet of life will be affected by this, and it already is. It already is. They are saying that the famine that will come from the Strait of Hormuz will be the worst thing in recorded human history that we've ever seen. Billions of people affected, starving. And we're going to see increase and increase and increase and getting to that point. But what is our redemption? When these things begin, we're not going to be left here. Those who believe in Jesus Christ, we're not going to be left here to suffer that wrath. But when we see these things begin, this is to wake up the church, wake up believers. Hey, stand up and lift up your heads because your redemption is drawing near. Because He is literally saying right before, at that time, they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. See, we have the rapture, harpazo, where we meet Him in the cloud for the wedding feast. Then the 7-year tribulation begins. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, demonic creatures will be here on earth. 200 million of Satan's hell riders. You have to take the mark of the beast. No man can buy or sell lest he bears the mark. And it is all perfectly set up. Rationing off your food, everything. I've shown you digital ID and how it's going to control your entire life. This was always the plan. This was always the plan. They've said it. They've said it. I show you brochures, literature. So this is why I want to show you these things to uplift you, because everything isn't doom or gloom. Through all these days, Jesus is saying, stand up, lift up our heads, because our redemption is coming. And that is Him in the clouds, because we are raptured with Him. The final judgment, Armageddon, that's when Jesus is physically here back on earth. You do not want to be one of the ones left because you did not believe in Jesus Christ. Weren't saved. There will be people who believe in Jesus Christ during the tribulation. They come to that knowledge. They realize this, but they're going to have to suffer. They're going to have to take the mark of the beast if they want to survive. It says you're going to have to try to find a cave to hide in. There'll be no place to go. There'll be no food. Great famines upon the earth. Pestilence, as the Bible, it is actually pandemics. And they've already said that they're planning for the vaccines for the next pandemic, for the multiple pandemics coming out. Tony Blair said this at the WEF forum. And that's on top of AI data centers taking over and all of that, job loss, inflation. Right now, people are feeling it at the pump, feeling it at the grocery stores. I've shown those videos, but it is nothing as to what is about to come down. But the Bible always said it was going to be that way. But this is why I think these signs, as they continue to show, that is where our hope is. That is where our joy is. So it's happening, guys. And one of the ways that you can help me get the word out, help me, this ministry, I guess now was just a channel, but now I'm seeing how God wants me to use this as a ministry. One way you can support me is by going to realmelanieking.com. I have my conspiracy collection, my Christian merch, my New World Order maps, the Great Awakening conspiracy maps. Just a lot of things that I think that you will like and you will not find anywhere else. This is one way to support me, but another way is just by becoming a member. It's a couple bucks a month. Helps me to continue to do this research, share the good news, get this out to people and wake people up. And just, on top of that, I think people more and more, as things get worse, people are going to start to wake up. Right now, there's a lot of distractions, but there's going to be a time when people are feeling it so bad at the gas pump, and feeling it at the grocery store, feeling it with everything. You know how many things come to Strait of Hormuz? I have an update I want to do about medicine, cancer treatments. Yes, through the Strait of Hormuz. All of that is affecting the world, and we're already seeing They have started the energy lockdown. And I never knew how they would get everybody, into this place. But now I see it with this crisis. And just know it's always was supposed to be this way. But if you don't know your word, if you don't know the Bible, if people aren't saved, they're just going to be panic and not knowing what to do. So this is one way. This is what I believe God has, what He woke me up for last year, and I changed my content completely. And I said, this is what I'm going to do. So if you want to support the work, I greatly appreciate it. Like I said, being a member is just a couple bucks a month. And the links to realmelanieking.com as well as other ways to support me are below in the description box. And yeah, I will see you guys on the next one.